breakdown. Breakdown is when an illness could happen. It is when something shifts. It could be that you have an emergency evacuation, a tornado or hurricane hits your house, right? It's when you find out you have some chronic illness. It's when you have a divorce. It's those top stress levels. It's when you're leaving home for the first time. It's a breakdown of old ways of being, of old habits. It's moving, right? Moving from one house to another, packing up, going to the next place. And when you're breaking down the old ways of being, like the caterpillar going to the butterfly, it breaks down completely before you discover your new way of being. That's the breakthrough. We're breaking down all of society, and each person, each individual, each living soul is seeing it completely differently. So if you're identifying with the person still, you're seeing it from a whole different structure, and you're involved in the system of how the system isn't necessarily working for you, right? And how you might want the system, the government, to change things, to do things differently, to help you out, to make things more peaceful and harmonious, right? You're looking for someone else to do that. If you're coming from the I perspective, the I am, that I am, and you recognize that everyone is the center of their own universe, and everyone has a different perspective from where they are located, right? So just as each is a point in a circle, we can all be looking at the same point, but we're all seeing it slightly different. And as we turn around, we are the center of that circle. So it's like we have all these circles that are circling, and it's all multidimensional. And how it all works seems very chaotic, since we've been taught and educated to build things very foundationally, very structurally, right? A good solid foundation, then you get a better, education, and you build a better house. Well, if you are a planner, and you've noticed that this whole past, since March 2020, when the pandemic was announced, normal was no longer normal. The foundation of what your day-to-day life was shifted. There are many different thoughts about what is happening right now. So if you have this particular thought and your perspective is this, you're totally seeing that. That's like why people's Facebook page or social medias are all one narrative. And then you hear other people saying, well, if you look at their narrative, no wonder they think that way. And they want to judge and blame. Well, that's their issue with being unable to be open to seeing that people can see it differently. That's their own discourse within themselves that is like going, there's something going on here. I only know my perspective. I get that other people have different perspectives. And when I'm connecting with people all around the globe, I see that where they are in the world and where they are on their healing from the inside out and their spectrum, they have a completely different vantage point. So somebody that has never looked within, has never truly questioned anything that's over here in the system, has done all the right things, been the good person, maybe they got all their top grades and they got their good job and they have a great career and they've raised 2.5 children and they have all the nice things. They've done all the right things, but now they're starting to question some of the stuff. And really, a lot of them maybe just want to get back to the normal, right? And I'll be surprised, but I'm going to suggest that what they think is going to get them back to the normal is but hey, that's I'm open to be wrong completely. And then there are those that will say, okay, we're at war with China, and they'll validate that. There's those that say that when people go, oh, are you discounting the pandemic? No, they're just saying 5G technologies have been radiating people and causing your body, your blood, your inflammation to protect you. And in that process of trying to protect you from the invader of this 5G technology, that is causing all the inflammation and ailments and the difficulty in breathing. And you know, in the latest thing that I posted about young men and heart inflammation. And for those, they go, well, I have 5G. I've had 5G on my phone all along. Well, you've been told that you have 5G technology, but the 5G towers only just started going in on mass scale last year. Okay, and you can go Google that to 5G installations. I think like 1,300, 1,500 of them have gone in the Western civilized world. Now, we can go back to say that Wuhan was where the first cell tower came in, and that was the first 5G technology, and that was the first thing. Or we can say that it was a virus that started in Wuhan and traveled over through the plains to get here. Or we could say that, oh, it was made in a lab and Fauci had something to do with it, right? So there's different belief systems for different stories. And some people can just say, oh, it's just nature, and others will just say it's just the awakening. The whole archaic systems are being broken down. We're moving from fear to freedom, and we're just awakening to who each of us truly is. If you really believe in God, source, creator, consciousness, then are you allowing that embodiment within you? Or are you still feeling fearful of somebody over here in the system, or somebody here that has a gun, or somebody here that's putting a tower in place? Anytime that we are, any of us, including myself, come from that space of fear, our vibe is so much lower, right? We're like, ooh, can I trust you? I don't know. You're like listening more intently. You're checking in with your gut. You might be contracting. You might be avoiding. It is a different space of receiving than if you're just open to the moment and going, ooh, no, yeah, Dear friend of mine was just sharing about, you know, being in the vibe and vibrational communication requires no words, right? That's why some of us that have called ourselves empathetic or, you know, sensitive, we can feel that vibe millions of miles away. That's why I can hold the space. I'm holding the space so-called here in Canada for someone over in Australia. Is it that I'm sending them healing vibes? I particularly feel like I'm just in that vibe. And I'm in that vibe, and that reactivates, it resets, it remembers their own vibe within themselves, because we're all that vibe. It's just sometimes we're trying on a different set of clothing. We're trying on a different way of being. And we're all having a different experience. So in this breakdown, to break through, everybody gets a chance to see what is habitual, what is your belief, your lie that you tell yourself to keep yourself in a box. So many people I know now are starting to pack up and move, and some people aren't quite sure where they're going. I've had that experience, and it's like trusting the process. Your inner guidance will know how to get you there. That is the breakdown, to break down of that, oh my gosh, where's my control? Now what's going to happen? Some people are posting that because they're not wanting to wear a mask, that their dentists are refusing them. Their dentists are actually telling them to go somewhere else. It's nothing to do with whether or not we'll just go there. So their dentists are refusing, and then they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do without a dentist? Because their belief system is they need a dentist, right? Well, what if you don't need a dentist? What if you've just been programmed and educated that you need a dentist? Because if you look at some of the ways in our economic system and where your money has gone to, it's gone to paying certain professions to keep you healthy, right? To keep you in good working order. It's to keep the government in good working order. But again, if you just think that's normal, then for me to even mention that or question that, you go, that's ridiculous. We need that. That's it is. If I didn't go to the dentist, I wouldn't have known I had a cavity. And my experience is that as one comes back into embodiment of who I am, who you are. Each person, each individual knows this experience in this body form, knows and is guided. Oh, you know what? I do need to go to a dentist. Okay, there is a place, because everything is source consciousness. So doctors and dentists and chiropractors and alternative therapists and governing officials, there's a place in the sense for everything, for technology. It's whether it's necessary for you. Are you doing it out of habit, right? Are you doing it because you've just been educated and told this is what you do? And you, just like a good lemming, have been following along. Some people think, people are becoming more zombie-like. And I'm thinking, no, we've been on the zombie train for a long time. What was all this for years when people just looked, they talked and talked about people just looking at their phones, sitting at a table, two people, a date night, and they're both on their phones the whole entire night, right? The human interaction and the experience of the moment of the now of life is the breakthrough. That's my perspective. Then all these illusions are breaking down, and each one that everyone has, if it's causing you suffering, if it's causing you pain, if it's causing you hurt, then what is the benefit of holding on to that? It's really quite simple when you grasp the concept that you can let go of the concept. That you were given, you have a whole buffet table, a plate of beliefs, right? And you can sample them and you can go, yeah, that works for me. That doesn't work for me. That one worked for me as a kid, doesn't work for me anymore. That one worked for me when I was married, doesn't work for me anymore. That one worked for me when my partner was still alive, that one doesn't work for me anymore, right? Some of those beliefs you've become so attached to, you think that you still need them. And maybe you don't. Maybe it's time to let them go. And letting them go, like the caterpillar breaks down to the butterfly, there becomes freedom. Do I know what's best for you? No. Do I believe anybody knows what's best for you? Just you. Just you and your God-given connection. So as I work with people in their health transformation or their wealth transformation, I essentially hold that space. I hold that space. So it's like I'm mirroring their beliefs right back at them. I'm mirroring their truth right back at them, and they get to see for themselves by holding that space. They hear their words, their own spells, the things that they have chosen to believe as true, and then something within them says, wait a minute, I'm holding that in my stomach. That's what's causing me pain. That set of beliefs is causing me stress and discomfort, and it's in my hips or my knees or my joints, or it's in my head. I feel it all around me. It's like this vibrating influence. And when they get present to what the effect is on their body, and they realize why would they want to keep that if it's causing that pain and suffering, and they let it go, and they realize they can let it go, and we can be in that space of source divine energy together and reactivate, recalibrate, like reallow, reopen, just be to who you truly are. That's where it seems magic happens. I just think it's natural. And so sometimes I have to use these words to describe these processes that are just natural, yet the beliefs, the layering of beliefs and the influence individuals are under needs to get kind of pulled all away before they get up to the top and they sort of say, oh my gosh, I have a hole there. I can see the light. And that's the idea of seeding. Each of us can seed where we're guided to seed, and trusting that everybody has it within them that will sprout. I do feel that many times part of our experience is to be knocking on the person, knocking, it's like anybody there, because you so want them to get your perspective, and nobody's there because they're in their own center of their universe. They have always been, but now it's very clear how different we are. And 80% now, most cases are going to be vaccinated in Canada, and 20% not. Well, there's the old 80-20 rule. Is that true, or is that a belief? You want to get things done, you do 20% of the people make the change happen. 80% just go along and do what they do. Now, I know that's the opposite of the message that's been communicated. We need the 80% to make things shift. So many people are trained that you need the numbers to make it happen. Well, it's the vibe that makes it happen. And that's why, from my perspective, when I come from a higher vibe place, it's like things just are easier. They just manifest. They just show. It's like the wave coming in. It just arrives. When I'm sad, or I'm grieving, or I'm fearful, when I'm doubting, when I get caught in a guilt trip, right? Guilt trip, because isn't that what you do? And you get in a guilt trip and I would wind myself all up about something. And it's like, no, just shake it off. Just let it go. The past can never be changed. The future has yet to be here. I only have now. The gift, the moment. And in this moment is everything and nothing. There are infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. So is the thought that's coming to you right now that you're receiving, is that thought allowing you to be open and expansive and relax and lean into the next moment that is going to give you more joy? And if it's different, be with that moment for a moment and see if there's anything coming to you. Realize maybe it's just a message you're picking up, like a spam, someone else's broadcast, and you're going, whoa. It's like landing on someone's Facebook feed or a social media post, and you go, whoa, what are they talking about, right? It's like you don't sit there. Maybe you do for a while, and you scroll through, and you scroll through to see, well, wow. But then you go, no, stop. So that's the experience. So if you can give yourself permission to have the experience and realize that as you're packing up your house, right? Because essentially that's what we're doing. You're taking the beliefs, the ones that really are treasured to you, your treasured and most loved beliefs that you really realize you need. Yeah, and then you might find, there's very few. Then you're taking those with you into the next moment. And if you really believe that the world is abundant, part of the experience is to discover that abundance, to discover how you're taken care of when you seem to have nothing in that moment of going from what you don't know, from what you do know, to what you don't know that you don't know. It's like hopping on the airplane and going to the resort that you saw online or on paper. And sometimes you go like, wow, this is way better than it was there. Remember that in Costa Rica last year? Wow. Or it could be the opposite. You get there and other people have had that experience and they go, holy moly, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't my vacation. Right? So even though you think you might know where you're going, if you're open, you'll never really ever know. That's my experience. That's trusting your inner guidance and surrendering. The breakthrough is going to happen. So whether you believe that the 5G towers are doing, damage, or the coronavirus, or it's been planned, or it's orchestrated, or it's just the great big awakening, or anything else in between, or it's just this virus and this is what happened and this is what we need to do, and you completely trust everything that's happening, that's the experience. If you had a PhD in a particular subject, you're going to be more compassionate with somebody that is, let's say, in grade 6. You're certainly not going to say, you don't know this, like you haven't figured this out yet, like, oh my gosh, like I only went through, high school, university, my master's, and now my PhD, and you're in grade 6 and you don't know this. So that's the sense of everybody's at a different place. Everybody has a different perspective. So if we can each have that love and compassion for where everybody's at, and keep checking back in here with I am that I am, and the words that I speak, the vibe that I put out is who I am being. And so I am doing my best, very best, to just putting light out into the world, just putting love out into the world, just holding that space that your best whole new world can happen. Your heart's desires are on the buffet table. They're in there in the world of infinite possibilities. Are you willing to receive them? Do you think it's still a process to get there? Right? Just ask yourself better questions. What do I need to do now? Skip the whys. The quality of your answers gets better or more guided when you ask a better question. Inner guidance, tune in. And if you have never done it before, if you never, I do it at the beginning and the end of every chapter in my book, but we can do that right now. You can just say it after me. So this isn't like a quieting the mind. This is open your palms up, ready to receive. Make sure your legs are slightly apart, and just think of something that makes you happy. Yep. And when I say that to boys or to men, it's always like, oh, I know what I'm thinking about, right? Think of whatever it is that makes you happy, and just repeat after me, or say it with me. I am asking for my inner guidance to clearly communicate with me in each and every moment for my highest and best good. And I'm asking to be open to receive this clear communication in each and every moment for my highest and best good, and to take joyful action on it. Thank you. And that's as simple as it is. As soon as your feet hit the floor in the morning, you can tune in and just notice what you're noticing in your body. Heat or cold, tingling, some maybe pain that you just need to release. Say, I'm releasing this. And just as you charge your phone or your laptop, stay in this charge for as long as you can. And my experience is that each time I tune in, it can be a different experience in my body. Just as the sun shifts every single day, your perspective shifts every single day. And if your direction is to be guided to your heart's desires, to the breakthrough for freedom, for unity, for joy, for health, for peace, for love, for wealth, then the experience is to learn to develop your superpower, your inner guidance, your intuition, your gut instinct, and to have the experience one step at a time, trusting the process. I just like to bring my hands to my heart when I'm fully recharged, just symbolically to say, I'm all ready to go. Bring it on, life, one step at a time. Show me the gifts and the blessings of today. Mwah. It is a great day